The wildest part of Angel Reese's business story isn't the Reebok signature shoe, the Beats by Dre headphones, or the mountain of brand deals that followed her from LSU to Chicago. It's the deal she didn't get. The one that was supposed to flip the entire women's basketball economy on its head, built off the same Sue Bird jersey blueprint that once let a veteran legend turn a uniform into an equity play. And the moment that deal got quietly killed didn't happen on social media or in a press release. It happened in a room Angel Reese wasn't even in, when a group of WNBA power brokers and legends basically decided she is done and rerouted the future around her. To understand why that secret meeting even existed, you have to understand how big Angel Reese became and how fast. By the time she played her first regular season minutes for the Chicago Sky, she already had a Reebok endorsement that turned into a multi-year extension, with a signature shoe scheduled to drop in 2026, making her one of just a handful of active WNBA players with their own sneaker line, and only the second with Reebok itself. On top of that, she was stacked with endorsements from brands like Beats by Dre, Panini America, and more, turning her into a marketing juggernaut before she'd even logged a full WNBA season. For a league that has historically struggled to get this kind of mainstream commercial attention, Angel wasn't just another rookie. She was proof that a loud, unapologetic Gen Z forward star could print money. But that kind of attention cuts both ways. While her fan base made her one of the most talked about names in basketball, there were execs and older voices in the room who saw volatility instead of value. When Ice Cube went public saying a massive $5 million offer was meant for Caitlin Clark and only Caitlin Clark, it became a viral moment that didn't just sting Angel's camp emotionally, it exposed how decision makers in boardrooms had already been sorting these new stars into tiers. Reese's name had been floated in those same conversations, but not as the anchor. Behind the scenes, some of her most promising sponsorship conversations started to wobble as brands asked if the risk matched the return. That's the environment where the so-called "she is done" meeting happened. Before we get into that meeting, quick pause. This channel lives on these exact moments: the career crossroads, the backroom decisions, the sponsorship plots that never hit Woj's timeline. If you want every twist in the WNBA's roster and business drama before it makes the headlines, subscribe and turn on notifications. There are at least a dozen other players right now fighting the same perception battle Angel Reese is in with brands and front offices, and we're tracking each one as it happens. Now, let's talk about the Sue Bird jersey structure and why that became the template and the flashpoint. Sue Bird didn't just retire as a four-time champion and one of the greatest point guards ever. She walked into retirement as someone who had turned her name and jersey into a serious business platform. Between media ventures like Together, which she co-founded and later brought Angel Reese into as part of the ownership group, and her role as a voice of authority on the modern WNBA, Bird showed players that the jersey doesn't have to be the end of the line. It can be the asset. The Sue Bird jersey structure became shorthand inside certain brand and agency circles. You don't just cut a check and run. You give the player a piece of the ecosystem: equity, revenue share, ownership stake, media control, in exchange for their name, image, and on-court gravity. Angel's camp understood that completely. They weren't just chasing commercials, they were chasing leverage. The concept that got floated to a major partner, according to people in the room, mirrored that Bird-era thinking. You attach Angel Reese to a jersey-based product line and broader lifestyle collection, not as a typical endorser, but as a revenue partner and creative decision maker. Think signature uniform capsules, city edition drops, and related streetwear tied directly to her personality and story. The Bayou Barbie who turned into Chi-Town Barbie and embraced the villain-hero role in equal measure. It wasn't some wild fantasy either. She already had a Reebok signature shoe coming, and that put her in the same category as Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Caitlin Clark, and Aja Wilson in terms of footwear power. Building a jersey-driven structure around that felt like the logical next escalation. But there was a problem: timing and politics. Around the same time Angel was building this empire, she was also becoming one of the loudest voices in the WNBA pushback against the league's new collective bargaining proposals. At All-Star Weekend, she publicly called the WNBA's offer disrespectful, talking about language and terms she found unacceptable, and hinting that some players were even talking about the possibility of sitting out if the league didn't move. She had already gone viral months before, admitting on Instagram Live that her WNBA salary barely covered her expenses, saying the league don't pay my bills at all, undercutting the league's preferred messaging about growth and financial stability. For the union, that was raw, necessary honesty. For some league side and partner side stakeholders, it was viewed as a branding liability. That brings us to the meeting. No cameras, no microphones, just a mix of league-adjacent power players, brand reps, and voices from the old guard of the women's basketball economy, including, according to people familiar with the dynamics, at least one legend whose own off-court empire helped invent this new money lane. The agenda on paper was simple: figure out how to structure the next generation of mega deals in a way that tied together jerseys, streaming content, and player-led media without letting any single personality become bigger than the league. The real subtext was deciding who was safe to build around. This is where the gatekeeping element comes in. The WNBA has always battled for respect and sustainability, so veterans and league executives have a real fear of chaos, of controversy overshadowing the product, of stars who can't be controlled, of narratives that get too heavy for the infrastructure to carry. When Sue Bird speaks on the state of the league, free agency, and the direction of the business, people listen because she's earned that credibility over 2 decades and now uses it in media and analysis roles. So when those voices compare the new stars, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and others, they're not just talking about shooting percentages. They're talking about whether brands and TV partners will feel safe betting the house on them. Bird has discussed how much scrutiny these players face and how intense the spotlight has become, especially around the Clark-Reese rivalry, and she's not wrong about that pressure. Inside that meeting, Angel's name wasn't being debated like a free agent on a whiteboard. It was being weighed like a stock. On one side, social media engagement, jersey sales potential, viral moments, and a proven track record of driving conversation. On the other, being the face of WNBA pushback, calling the league proposal disrespectful, publicly stating the league doesn't pay her bills, and polarizing fan rhetoric that sometimes spills into ugly, racially coded conversations online. The deal that sat in the middle, a Sue Bird jersey-style equity plus jersey structure for Angel Reese, depended on those in the room believing she was a long-term, safe bet. They didn't. The phrase, "she is done," as it's been repeated after the fact, wasn't about her WNBA career being over. It was shorthand for, "we're not structuring the big flagship deal around her." It was a decision to reroute that kind of deep jersey plus ownership architecture toward other names. The player who got the $5 million Ice Cube publicly admitted was only offered to Caitlin Clark, and the ones brands saw as safer faces of the league's next era. Angel still had Reebok, still had her signature shoe coming, still had her existing deals and a growing media footprint, including joining the Together ownership group that Sue Bird helped found. But the truly unrivaled WNBA redefining contract that was supposed to mirror and even surpass the Sue Bird model, that's the one that died in that room. From Angel's perspective, it feels like betrayal, not business. Think about it. She stepped into a league built by women who had to fight for every scrap of visibility. Women who, in her mind, should be thrilled that a new generation is kicking doors open with NIL muscle and social media leverage. Instead, the message she got back through canceled calls, delayed term sheets, and reshuffled priorities was that the people she thought paved the way were now drawing lines around what kind of star is acceptable. It's not that legends like Sue Bird are secretly plotting against her in some comic book villain way. Sue Bird herself has publicly congratulated Reese on wins like the signature shoe and even spoken positively about the broader growth of the league. The betrayal is more subtle. At the key moments when a certain kind of power could have been extended to her, it wasn't. From the legend and exec side, they would frame it as stewardship, not gatekeeping. They'd argue that the league is in a fragile but explosive moment, with free agency described as unprecedented, expansion on the horizon, and more eyeballs than ever on every misstep. In that environment, tying the league's next mega jersey plus equity deal to a player who calls the CBA offer disrespectful and openly says the league doesn't pay her bills feels like handing ammo to critics. They'll say you can celebrate individual expression and still be selective about who carries the core economic architecture on their shoulders. But whether you think it's responsible or hypocritical, the outcome is the same. The people who already had power decided which new stars get access to the next level of it. They didn't stop Angel Reese from getting paid, they stopped her from being the prototype. Instead of Angel Reese, the face of the New Jersey economy, she became Angel Reese, one of the many stars in the mix, while others got positioned as the neutral, brand-safe centerpieces. That's what gatekeeping looks like in a modern, player-led league. It's not blocking you from the door entirely, it's deciding how big your room is once you're inside. The irony is that Angel Reese is still doing exactly what scared some people about her in the first place, speaking up, pushing for a better CBA, and reminding everyone how much of her income comes from outside the league. She's also still winning in the marketplace, stacking deals and building a brand that doesn't need league approval to exist. The secret meeting didn't erase her, it just exposed how uncomfortable this league still is when a player tries to skip steps and demand the kind of ownership slice that only legends used to get. So what happens next? On one path, the league and its gatekeepers succeed in keeping the Sue Bird jersey structure limited to a select, carefully curated group of stars, the ones whose quotes never make execs or sponsors sweat. On the other path, Angel Reese and players like her keep building their own ecosystems, using shoes, content, and independent deals to prove that the audience follows authenticity more than it follows league-approved scripts. In a weird twist, the deal that got blocked might end up strengthening her position anyway, because if fans feel like the system is punishing the exact kind of personality that made them care in the first place, the backlash doesn't hit Angel, it hits the gate. If you were sitting in that secret meeting, would you have greenlit the unrivaled Angel Reese jersey plus equity structure or shut it down to protect the league's safe image? That's the question hanging over every new star who walks into negotiation rooms now, wondering if the legends they grew up idolizing are still lifting or quietly limiting them.